Some people go looking for secrets, others trip over them in the frozen food aisle, the comment section, or a dusty back room of real life. Tonight, ordinary lives collide with buried crimes, covert systems, and mysteries that were never meant to be seen. A wrong turn, a cheap gadget, a curious glance at an old file, and everything changes. Tonight, every story ties back to ordinary people who accidentally exposed something huge. Here's how TruLies works. You're about to hear 7 stories of accidental discovery. Neighbors, students, parents, and hobbyists who stumble into something far bigger than themselves. Some are pulled straight from court records, news reports, and documented investigations. Others are carefully constructed illusions, built to feel just as strange and just as possible. 4 of these stories are real, 3 are fictional. Your job is to decide which is which. Keep score as you go, lock in your guesses, and comment your final tally before you watch the reveal. At least one of your instincts will betray you. And remember, don't peek ahead. 7 chapters, 7 chances to question how big the world really is behind its thin layer of normal. Freezers and baby monitors, laptops and microfilm, hidden rooms and wrong turns on digital maps. Some events will sound too wild to be true, others almost boring in their simplicity. Let your first impressions form, but don't trust them for long. Let's begin. Story 1 takes us to a quiet neighborhood and a humming garage that's been ignored for far too long. On a quiet Ohio street, where nights were usually filled with crickets and distant trains, Lisa lay awake, listening once again to the low, endless hum coming from her elderly neighbor's garage freezer. Sometimes, when the wind shifted, a sour metallic smell drifted through her bedroom window, and she'd mutter to friends, "That old freezer sounds ready to explode. Something is seriously wrong in that garage." Her neighbor, Mr. D, lived alone, always polite and soft-spoken, waving from his porch, bringing in people's trash cans, the kind of private man no one ever asked too many questions about. One stormy summer night, the power suddenly went out. The neighborhood fell into darkness, and for the first time in years, the familiar humming from Mr. D's garage cut off mid-breath. Stepping onto her porch to enjoy the silence, Lisa watched in uneasy confusion as Mr. D stumbled through the dark, frantically dragging an orange extension cord, desperately trying dead outlets, eyes fixed on his powerless garage. As the still, warm air grew heavy with a thick, rotting sweetness from next door, Lisa, disgusted and suspicious, pulled out her phone and reported her neighbor to the utility company for possible power theft and that awful freezer. By late morning, a utility technician in a reflective vest rolled open the vine-covered garage door, gagged as a sickly stench hit him, and stared at an ancient chest freezer sweating cold, pinkish water slowly leaking onto the concrete. Police arrived, taped off the property, and under harsh lights, a detective lifted the freezer lid to reveal neatly stacked, plastic-wrapped bundles, one cut open to show a pale human hand sliding into view. As forensic teams and the FBI worked for months to match DNA, dates, and initials on the packages to missing persons, investigators realized Mr. D had been quietly killing and freezing victims for nearly 40 years. While stunned neighbors replayed every polite wave and small favor, Lisa struggled with the horror that her simple complaint about a humming freezer and a strange smell had finally exposed the silent serial killer living next door. Reset your instincts. Story 2 follows a homework assignment that spirals into something way beyond extra credit. On a quiet Tuesday night in a Texas dorm, 20-year-old Evan squints at his laptop, trudging through a GIS homework assignment comparing official pipeline maps with satellite images for his environmental science class. He randomly chooses an East Texas patchwork of cattle fields, pine forest, and a small protected wetland called Cypress Meadow, where records insist an oil pipeline was rerouted years ago to avoid the fragile habitat. On the federal pipeline layer, the route bends neatly around the wetland, but when Evan overlays recent satellite images, a raw scar in the earth slices straight through the green smear of Cypress Meadow. Thinking it might be bad data, he checks projections, downloads older and newer imagery from multiple platforms, and each time the same straight corridor appears, perfectly aligned with an old, supposedly rejected route. Zooming closer, he notices muddy plumes in the water after storms, pale stains along the right-of-way, and disturbed soil near small drainage channels, hinting that something may already be leaking into the wetland. Still treating it as homework, Evan calmly writes a cautious report about a suspicious mismatch between maps and reality, posts screenshots and overlays in his tiny class forum, and logs off, assuming it's just bureaucracy being sloppy. A former student lurking in the forum spots his post, sends it to an environmental lawyer, and soon experts replicate Evan's steps, layering official maps, satellite images, and old permits until the fraud becomes impossible to ignore. Regulators visit Evan's coordinates, find the pipeline illegally crossing Cypress Meadow, see stained soil and dead vegetation, and subpoenas soon uncover falsified maps, bribed inspectors, and internal emails choosing the cheaper illegal route. News explodes. A bored student's assignment has cracked open a multi-billion-dollar environmental scheme, prompting federal hearings, stricter satellite checks on pipelines, and new portals inviting the public to flag map reality mismatches. Back on campus, as people call him the guy who took down a pipeline with homework, Evan remembers only that 1:37 a.m. moment, staring at a pixelated wetland and thinking, that can't be right, and refusing to look away. For Story 3, we head to a thrift store shelf where a $5 impulse buy carries the weight of international secrets. In the back corner of a Vancouver thrift store, a man spots a dusty external hard drive in a bin of tangled cables, smiles at the $5 price tag, and thinks, perfect cheap storage for my movie collection. At home, he plugs it in, expecting emptiness, but unprotected folders pop up. Admin, ops, finance, HR, and instead of films, he sees spreadsheets, memos, and scanned passports from an international shipping company. As he scrolls through crew passports and internal emails about aging assets and cost-saving measures, excitement turns to dread. This isn't personal clutter. It feels like someone's entire corporate skeleton accidentally left wide open. Uneasy, he takes the drive to a tech-savvy friend, and under the blue glow of dual monitors, they dig deeper, mapping folders until they uncover files about residual product, sea disposal, and suspiciously squeaky clean inspection reports. The friend realizes residual product means oily engine waste, sees coordinates in busy sea lanes far from ports, and whispers that the logs describe secret nighttime dumping and edited safety audits, evidence of crimes hidden in office language. Knowing this could mean illegal pollution and fake safety records, they decide not to call the company, but instead contact an investigative journalist, secretly hand over the drive, and brace themselves for what might follow. The journalist verifies everything, matching passport numbers to real seafarers, ship names and IMO numbers to public databases, and the dumping coordinates to actual ship tracks that slowed or stopped exactly where the spreadsheets say disposal. Investigators trace the drive to a decommissioned office computer that was lazily quick formatted and donated, and when the story breaks, regulators worldwide launch raids, detain ships, and expose leaking pipes, corroded hulls, and dead emergency systems. Under pressure from headlines, sanctions, and surprise inspections, the shipping giant blames legacy issues, while international agencies tighten rules, boost whistleblower hotlines, and start cross-checking ship logs against satellite and AIS data. Staying anonymous, the man who bought the drive quietly says he just wanted cheap space for movies, but instead learned how easily the world hides its mess, and how one forgotten hard drive can force an entire industry to clean up. Story 4 drifts into the digital crowd, where a single laptop sticker in a casual photo refuses to stay in the background. On a quiet night in a tiny apartment, an amateur true crime blogger scrolls through Facebook, half bored, until one random party photo makes them pause. Friends laugh in a cluttered kitchen, but the blogger's eyes lock on the blurry background, a laptop on the table, marked by a single circular summer camp sticker. Their heart lurches. They recognize that rare logo from an old missing children case, a limited-run sticker given out the same summer 2 siblings vanished without a trace. Digging through saved files, the blogger finds a grainy camp photo, a tall counselor leaning on a cabin, the identical sticker on his metal water bottle, barely mentioned in old reports. They zoom in, print photos, and compare faces. The counselor and the man with the laptop share the same crooked nose, freckle above the eyebrow, and familiar tilted laugh. Obsession takes over as the blogger hunts LinkedIn, alumni newsletters, and camp rosters, uncovering a slightly altered name and a vague youth outdoor program that perfectly matches the closed camp's time and place. Property records reveal the man has moved around the region of the abduction, now living in a quiet suburb with two teenagers, whose faces mirror age-progressed images of the missing siblings. Knowing how online sleuths can harm real cases, the blogger compiles a careful dossier, photos, timelines, records, and sends it privately to police and a national missing children center. Weeks later, DNA tests after a quiet welfare check confirm the impossible. The teenagers are the long-missing siblings, stolen from camp and raised on lies by the former counselor. As news breaks and the abductor is arrested, the blogger sits stunned at their desk, realizing a tiny sticker in the corner of a Facebook photo just cracked a 20-year mystery. Breathe for a moment. Story 5 climbs above the ceiling of an ordinary mall into a space no blueprint was ever meant to admit. Every night at the dying Crestview Galleria, Marcus pushed his squeaky janitor cart through dark, echoing halls, the music long gone, the food court dim, the whole mall feeling like it was breathing its last. One week, as he mopped a lonely back corridor, he began hearing faint, muffled voices drifting from an air vent above. Too close to be a TV, too real to be the building settling. Following the sound, he found a metal ladder to a ceiling hatch dusted with fresh streaks and fingerprints, then checked the faded blueprints and realized something unsettling. Up there, according to the plans, there was nothing but ductwork. Curiosity finally beating fear, Marcus tilted a security camera away, climbed the cold rungs near midnight, and pushed the hatch, which swung open far too easily for something that was supposed to stay shut. In the stuffy dark above the ceiling, his phone's flashlight revealed not bare beams, but drywall forming a narrow passage, leading into a low, hidden room stretched secretly between the ceiling and the mall's roof. Inside, on patched plywood, he saw two thin mattresses with rumpled blankets, fast food bags, and on a makeshift desk, two humming laptops, radio gear with snaking antennas, and rows of prepaid phones glowing as they charged. Beside a crate of notebooks filled with neatly written card numbers, an open metal case held modified card readers and skimmer parts, and Marcus suddenly understood. He'd climbed into the control room of a live credit card fraud operation. Hearing a faint thump near the vents above, he killed his light, crawled back in the dark, slipped through the hatch, and climbed down, shaking, then went straight to the sleepy security guard to report the secret room in the ceiling. By dawn, police and federal agents were crawling through the hidden space, filming warm laptops, burner phones, radio scanners tuned to mall security, and gear used to intercept unencrypted Wi-Fi and monitor infected payment terminals below. Investigators later tied the ceiling hideout to a regional fraud ring that had skimmed thousands of cards while secretly living above shoppers. And though the struggling mall soon closed forever, Marcus's curious climb became the legend that brought the whole scheme down. Story 6 tunes into a nursery at night, where a cheap baby monitor picks up a conversation it was never supposed to hear. On a sleepless New Jersey night, Emily rocks her 6-month-old in a dim nursery, the cheap Wi-Fi baby monitor buzzing softly beside them like it always does. Suddenly, the static clears and two male voices cut through. Cash drops tomorrow, same spot. Make sure I've got the access codes and keep the inspections light. Heart pounding, Emily checks the silent TV, then leans toward the monitor as the men casually mention her neighborhood street and the nickname of the huge high-rise project nearby. Nervous but curious, she opens the voice recorder app on her phone, holds it to the monitor, and captures talk of envelopes, sign-offs, and inspections that can be fixed with the right paperwork. When the signal fades back into static, Emily sits in the dark, almost deleting the file, convinced she's just a tired mom with a glitchy baby cam and an overactive imagination. Days later, at a packed community meeting about the noisy high-rise, Emily, palms sweating, admits she recorded something weird on her baby monitor about cash drops and light inspections. While some neighbors chuckle, a young city council aide listens to her audio, his face shifting from polite interest to alarm as he replays the most suspicious lines. Investigators quietly trace the signal to walkie-talkies used at the site and uncover a corrupt inspector and contractor taking cash for fraudulent safety sign-offs on multiple high-rise projects. Months later, Emily reads news of bribery charges and sees a single line about an inadvertent recording by a local resident, realizing her late-night baby monitor clip helped trigger the case. Watching her toddler run where the baby swing once stood, Emily replays the crackling voices and understands that a cheap, hissing baby monitor in a dark nursery helped keep entire families safe. And finally, Story 7 settles into the quiet of a library, where one man and a roll of microfilm trace the outline of a hidden network. In a quiet corner of a small-town library, a retired history buff named Walter spends his afternoons hunched over a humming microfilm machine, chasing forgotten headlines just for the joy of finding old stories. One day, while scrolling through a boring 1970s zoning dispute, he notices a strange legal notice: a bland shell company supposedly owning empty land he recognizes as today's heavily guarded, signless federal facility. Digging deeper into old court filings, Walter spots a single odd footnote, an emergency easement for undisclosed defense activities, a dry phrase that hooks his curiosity like a mystery novel's first clue. He starts mapping every property the shell company ever owned, filling a hand-drawn map with addresses that now hold anonymous warehouses, business parks, and logistics hubs scattered quietly across several counties. On paper, the sites look ordinary, but in person, they share the same unsettling details: extra cameras, tall fences around empty lots, badge readers on doors of record storage buildings that never seem to have visitors. Staring at his growing map, Walter realizes he's traced what looks like a hidden logistics spine, an invisible supply chain quietly feeding classified government operations through the most forgettable buildings in town. Thinking it's just a fun puzzle, he posts his findings on a niche hobbyist forum, screenshots of microfilm clippings, his map, and a joking caption: "Did I accidentally map a secret government network?" The thread blows up with fellow nerds linking board members to defense contractors and rumored federal tenants. Then, without warning, the entire post vanishes, leaving only vague terms of service notices behind. Days later, suited federal archivists visit the library, quietly asking which microfilm reels were accessed, while Walter discovers his online library account mysteriously locked and his patron record flagged and sealed. Nothing official ever happens to Walter, but his hidden map stays folded in a drawer, a reminder that some of the biggest secrets sit in plain sight, waiting for someone patient enough to connect the dots. 7 stories, 4 truths, 3 carefully engineered fabrications. In TruLies, the line between them is thinner than it looks. Before we reveal which tales came from real investigations and which were constructed puzzles, take one last moment to lock in your answers. Ready to find out how sharp your instincts really are? Story 1. The freezer next door was real. Investigators really did uncover long-hidden human remains and a serial killer's secret in an unassuming freezer, documented in case files and press reports. Story 2. The wrong address on the map was fictional. We built this one by blending genuine environmental whistleblower cases with a student assignment twist to feel eerily plausible. Story 3. The hard drive at the thrift store was fictional. It's stitched together from real data leak scandals and sloppy corporate disposal, then pushed one step further into global fallout. Story 4. The laptop sticker and the missing kids was real. It's rooted in documented cold cases reopened thanks to online sleuths, archived photos, and digital breadcrumbs that finally led to survivors. Story 5. The hidden room above the mall was fictional. We imagined it by combining real credit card skimming rings, Wi-Fi snooping attacks, and the strange ecosystems of dying malls. Story 6. Mom's baby monitor and the bribe was real. Versions of this have surfaced in corruption prosecutions, where accidental recordings and stray transmissions expose bribery and falsified inspections. Story 7. The footnote in the microfilm was real. It draws from historical reporting on shell companies and covert facilities, where obscure legal notices and forgotten archives pointed to classified infrastructure hiding in plain sight. So, how many did you spot, and how many caught you off guard? Share your score and decide for yourself. When you look at the ordinary world around you tomorrow, what might you be missing?